Colin. The question that we talked about all week was whether or not the defense of Denver could step up and be good enough to take over the game. And to do that, they were going to have to handle the running game. And as I told you all week, that I felt that if they got into the thirds and longs or second and longs, the passing downs, if they could handle the running game and handle first down, then they could win this game. And that's exactly what they did. They handled the running game, handled it brilliantly. And I don't think in the game or at any time that Malik Jackson's been given enough credit for what he did in the running department there and handling the running game. And then obviously turned the game over to the pass rushers, and both Miller and Ware had as good a duo. They were as good a duo in the postseason in terms of getting to the quarterback as any duo that has ever played in the postseason in a single season. That's how good they were this year. Miller did everything that any great player has ever done. Ware was right there with him. Ware deserves credit for even pushing him, obviously, since he got there and turning Miller into a better player. But that was what they did. That was what they overcame in a game where there was very little offense and where Denver got to a point where they were just going to put the ball and the game in the hands of their defense and hope for the best. That's what they did, and they were able to win what I'm sure for a lot of people was not a very exciting Super Bowl, but if you like defense, you saw defense dominate. You saw defense do a great job. You saw defense actually take the offensive, in that they were the best unit. They were also the best offensive unit for the Broncos yesterday, and a very, very good game, a very good defensive performance. So, 12 times the number one defense has gone to the game. It's 10-2. Yesterday was a 10th win. And give Denver credit, give Wade Phillips credit, give the Denver defenders credit, and a very, very good way for hopefully Peyton Manning to go out. You know, all right, it wasn't a stellar performance by him. All right, it was a complimentary performance at best by the offense and by Peyton Manning yesterday, but he did enough in his career. He had so many great days in his career. He carried bad defense so many times in his career that the last game he got handed the reciprocal. And I think it's a good thing. I think it's a just thing. And I think it is a great way for his career to end. And hopefully, I do hope that was the last game as he left the field. Now, there's a lot to get to, and we'll get to all of it. But there's some things that jump out from the beginning. Number one, you have to be very impressed with Miller and Ware and everything they did, and Malik Jackson for what he did in the run game. I was very puzzled that Carolina did not run Cam Newton more by design. He only ran 6 times in the game, either by him calling his own number, him scrambling more, or using him more by design, which I was very surprised by. So I think the little bit they played in Denver's hands. Number 2, Newton didn't play very well, but very few quarterbacks are going to play well when under that kind of duress. He also didn't get a lot of help from his receivers who dropped some balls, including the one, especially Kotri dropped down the right sideline when he was one-on-one with Von Miller, and he should have had a ball that he went out of bounds on the 2-yard line. It was in his hands. I mean, it was a good pass. The ball was there. That was a very bad drop. So he was errant with some throws, but he also got some drops and didn't get some help throughout the game. As far as Cam Newton's performance, there's a couple things there that you're going to be very critical of, and I am. And you know what? That's just, if you're a Cam Newton fan, you're just going to have to, live with it. Number one, how does Cam Newton not throw himself on that ball? I mean, you're in the Super Bowl. This is not a preseason game. This is not a regular season game. And if you're going to wear a Superman jersey onto the field, how are you going to act like Lois Lane when the ball's there on the ground? I mean, come on now. How do you not throw yourself on that football? I mean, that's unbelievable. And somebody can make an excuse for him that he didn't see that ball. I don't buy it for a second. How can you tell me that how would you not throw yourself on that football in the Super Bowl? I mean, Cam Newton has got to make a play on that fumble. He has got to. For the life of me, I would have loved. Now, he won't answer many questions in the postgame, as we know. But how was he not making a play on that football? It was at his feet. He did not go to the ground after that ball. Give credit to the announcers for saying, hey, we got to question how much he wanted that ball. And that's basically what they said, and they were right. So I don't understand that play. I'd like to get an explanation from him. He wasn't in the mood to explain much, which we'll get to. But let's be honest. I mean, that's a game. I mean, that could be a game-saving play there. That ball is on the ground. It is loose. He did not go to the ground for the ball. He went to the ground on the sideline when there was a flag thrown he didn't like. He went to the ground on that, rolled around on the sideline in a great display of immaturity. But how did he not go to the ground when the ball was on the ground? You can't wear a Superman shirt and not go to the ground after the football. That's number one. Number two, on the sideline, you can act the way he acts, but we've been down that road before. And then to the postgame, and this is going to haunt him. The fact he didn't go for that football is going to haunt him. Forget that he had a bad game. Hey, listen, guys are going to have bad games. You're playing enough big games, you're going to have rotten games. They all do. And Cam Newton has survived that. He's talented enough to survive that. But number one, he's got to go for the football there. And number two, after the game, if you are going to come out in a Superman jersey in front of the world, if you are going to come out in gaudy gold shoes, if all week you are going to say, no one's ready for what I'm going to show you, then you cannot run away from the questions and walk off the podium after the game. You are the quarterback. After the game in the NFL, there's two people that people want to hear from, the head coach and the quarterback. And if you want to be a big quarterback in this league, you have to come up big in those painful spots. No one said it's easy. It's not easy. It's not easy to hear those questions after the game, after you just had a rotten game and your team got your rear end kicked. And losing that Super Bowl hurts. I understand that. Doesn't matter. You signed up for that. To walk off there. To walk off there after the stuff you promised all week, after you ran out in front of the world in that Superman shirt before the game, wore those gaudy gold shoes, and then cut and run after the game because the questions were too hard. You know what? You got to grow up. His team's got to tell him to grow up. His coach has got to tell him to grow up. And the faster he grows up, then he'll turn those losses into wins. Denver made it very clear that they felt that Carolina had disrespected them all week. And they had their noses rubbed in it. They didn't like any part of what they heard all week. They made it very clear after the games last night, if you listen to them, that they were upset about what they heard all week. They felt that Carolina disrespected them. Talked about how much they were going to badly put on a show and beat them. And didn't give them any credit for what they had accomplished. They said, the first thing we know is we beat Ben Roethlisberger, we beat Tom Brady, but we were no good. Well, they showed the world that they are good, real good. As a matter of fact, one of the great postseason defenses in history. They allowed Tom Brady, Cam Newton, and Ben Roethlisberger one touchdown pass in 3 games. And none of the teams scored 20 points. That's a great defensive showing. In this world, in this day and age where it's easy to play offense, that is a great defensive showing. But if you're Cam Newton, and I'm not making this all about Cam Newton, but if you're Cam Newton, you got to go to the ground for that ball, and you got to stand there and answer the questions and answer them properly and take your medicine after you lose. And the sooner he realizes that, the better player he'll become, and the bigger leader he'll become, and the more he will become one of the faces of the NFL, because that's part of his job. Now to Manning. This wasn't a great performance, as we know. This was one of the weak offensive. Matter of fact, no one's ever had that weak an offensive performance in the Super Bowl and ever won as a team. Quarterbacks have a couple, but his is ranked with the others. It was a performance that, luckily, the defense was there. He basically held on for dear life, let's be honest. He threw a terrible pick and gave away 3 points. He fumbled the ball at an inopportune time. He's lucky he didn't have at least 2 or 3 other intercepted, including a pick six on the first drive where McClain had a pick six if he just stepped in front of the ball. He didn't do a lot yesterday, but for once he was there. He's the quarterback. He gets the win, but we know against a good Carolina defense, it wasn't a great day. Now, to me, his career deserved the second Super Bowl. I'm very glad he got it. He has been a great person for this league. He has been an iconic figure for this league. He has been everything that's right about this league, and he's done everything right. Now he should retire because you know what? Deion Sanders said it best after the game last night. And Deion, give him credit. He went after Cam Newton after the game last night. He was right there. And he also said something that was exactly dead on point about Manning last night. He said, either you leave the game, or the game leaves you. Peyton now has a chance to leave the game. The next opportunity, the game will leave him. Peyton's lasting moment can be this game. If he comes back, it will be some field where he leaves bloodied, broken, or because he threw 5 picks, because he doesn't have anything left. And I hope he realizes that. I just hope he does. Now, it's his call, not mine. And one thing for Peyton. Peyton, the first guy you kiss can't be Papa John, okay? And listen, this is a big moment. First of all, I have no idea why Papa John's on the field. Shame on the NFL for having him on the field. But if you're Peyton Manning, you have enough money, the first guy you kiss can't be Papa John, okay? It can't be. And if I see that as a commercial, I'll throw up. Enough. You make enough money. The first guy you kiss can't be Papa John after the game. Why is he on the sideline? But for him, they won. The defense was great. He got out of there. Good for him. I'm thrilled for him. Take the cue. You've had an incredible career. You rank with the greatest players who ever lived. And you know what they're going to say 5 years from now? They're going to say Peyton Manning is as good as any quarterback who ever lived. He just wasn't the best Super Bowl quarterback who ever lived. And that's how it should be summed up. All those records, all those wins, 200 wins as a quarterback, plenty of playoff wins, 3 straight AFC title wins over Tom Brady, a winning record over Tom Brady, 2-2 in the Super Bowl, but he wasn't at his best in the Super Bowl. He wasn't Joe Montana in the Super Bowl. He wasn't Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. Fine. But day in, day out, 5 MVPs, 1 million records, 200 wins. He was great. Leave it at that. It's just the Super Bowl wasn't his best show. Give Kubiak credit. I've never been a big fan. He knew how to play this. It's not easy to throw the ball on 3rd and 9 up 6 points in the Super Bowl with 5 minutes left and punt the ball back. And that's what he did. He put it in his defense, and he knew his defense could do the job. He played that game. They played to play a lead, which they desperately needed, and then they did it around the offense and put it in the hands of the defense. They got a punt return that helped. They got 2 turnovers set up by the defense. They scored one and put one 4 yards away. Peyton made a couple of mistakes, got away with a couple of plays. The bottom line, is he got the job done. It wasn't pretty. All right, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't great. It was a very little amount of offense in a game where there was no offense. But Kubiak read his team right, and that's your job as a head coach, is to know what your team can do and can't do in a big spot. He knew what his team could do and couldn't do in a big spot. He gave Manning a throw when he was in field goal range. He gave him a throw, and on that throw, Manning threw a terrible pick, and he said to himself, I'm not going to do that again. Now we'll leave it in the hands of our defense. And his defense was there every single play of that game. A lot of things went wrong for Carolina yesterday. You know what? They made mistakes. They had bad turnovers. They dropped interceptions. So they had a bad day. I agree with that. They had drops. They did a bad job. They didn't have a good day. Bad throws, bad drops. They didn't play well. But more than anything else, they went up against a defense that dominated the game and made its presence felt and delivered a Super Bowl. And we've seen it more than not. The puzzling thing for me was why they went so far away from the running game. Yes, Stewart got banged up a little early. But they went away from the running game, especially the part of the running game that would have put pressure on the edge rushers. They did not go to that much. It surprised me. I really believe that they played overconfidently on offense throughout a lot of that game, where they just felt, you know what? Denver's not going to score enough points. We're going to have our moment. We're going to get our break. We're going to make our play. And you know what? Maybe they could have done that, but it didn't work out that way. I thought Rivera had a very puzzling day. I think he had a great job this year. He did a great job with this team this year. There's two things in the game that really puzzled me. Number one, you can't take your second challenge when in the second quarter and leave yourself without a challenge for the last 35, 37 minutes of the Super Bowl to gain 7 yards. It was either 2nd and 10 or 2nd and 17. You can't use your second challenge there. You had lost your first challenge. I know a lot of people debated whether that was incomplete or complete. I thought it was incomplete. Some people I was watching with thought it was complete. I'll debate that one with you. But it was a second challenge. He knew that. And his last challenge to gain 7 yards, that was ridiculous. You needed a challenge in your pocket in the Super Bowl. God forbid there had been a game-changing play. He couldn't have challenged it. Then tell me this. At the end of the game, why is he punting on 4th down 2 scores? I don't care if it's 4th and 100. This is the Super Bowl. You try and make a play. There's 2 minutes left. If you punt the ball, they had 2 timeouts, but the punt was going to take them through the 2-minute warning, so they weren't going to. The break was going to come right there before Denver ever ran a play. So you didn't have 3 timeouts, you had 2, because the 2-minute warning wasn't going to help you. Why would you not go on 4th down? What do you care if you wind up losing by a bigger margin than where you was? So what? Let's say the nightmare happened and you wound up losing 31-10. Who cares? The idea is to win the game. You have 2 minutes left. What if you complete that pass? A guy falls down, you run in for a touchdown. Now you got 1:40 left and you're down 7 and 2 scores left and 2 timeouts. Why would you not play the last play of a Super Bowl? There was 2 minutes left, not 2 seconds. We never saw the last play, as we know. We never saw the last play again. The game didn't end. We never saw the last play on CBS. But that's okay. We never saw a replay all night anyway. They're so busy running promos that we never saw a replay all night. You know how many plays they never replayed last night because every play's got a promo after it? That's the problem with the game. Every play's got a promo. But how, if you're Rivera, do you not play 4th down? This is the Super Bowl. There's 2 minutes left. How do you know you don't get a flag? How do you know you don't get a bounce in the air and somebody makes... These things happen. Have you not watched the end of these games this year? Why would you not try? Who cares if you would lose by more points? What was the idea to lose close? I don't understand that. Why would you not go on? I don't care if it's 4th and 108, I'm going. Why would I ever punt the ball back? Do you think the game was over after that? When Denver punted the ball back again to Carolina, you think the game was over? They didn't put Ware and Miller back in the game. I just didn't understand that. This is the Super Bowl. Did Rivera and Cam Newton forget somewhere along the way that this was the Super Bowl? You don't dive on a fumble that is at your feet in the Super Bowl? You don't go on 4th down in the Super Bowl? There's no more games, guys. So for Peyton Manning, I say congratulations and take this opportunity to ride off into the sunset. because there's not a lot of left. You know what? No one should have ever thrown as many touchdown passes as Peyton Manning threw, but the arm and the bank account is overdrawn. He's not throwing anymore. He's not throwing anymore. And I think Deion Sanders said it perfectly. Either you leave the game or the game leaves you. And he gets a chance to leave the game, leave it. And for Cam Newton, there's a whole lot of growing up to do. You know what? That's a bitter pill to swallow to lose that game. When you're outspoken and you're brash and you're talented and you're the MVP, it's a hard fall in that game. There's no question. But you got to understand that if you're going to dish it out, you got to take it. You can't walk away. You cannot get up and walk away. His postseason, his post-game press conference will absolutely be textbook of what not to do at the end of a bad loss. To sit there, not look at the people who are talking to you, give them one-word answers, and then get up and walk out. You just don't want to do that. You can't do it. Not if you want. Listen, part of being a quarterback in this league is you get a lot of commercials, you get a lot of money, you get a lot of fame, you get a lot of praise, you get a lot of criticism, and you have a lot of responsibility. And that means to face the music. It's not only about dancing the dances when you win, it's about dancing the dances when you don't win. He would have been better off doing the dab there than he did with what he did. And that picture, that whole dab by the whole team, wasn't lost on Denver. That team picture wasn't lost on the Broncos. They rubbed their noses in it last night. Back after this.